I just had to go over there and give everybody a hug. As President Scheiberger was going through my bio, I was thinking to myself, these people are gonna think I can't hold a job. Thank you, Mr. President. You've taught me so much about leadership by the way that you care and advocate for your members. And thank you so much for the invitation to be here today. It is so good to be back and to see so many friends and familiar faces. You know, the first time I addressed you, our country was reeling from the aftermath of the September 11th terrorist attack. On that day, the world watched as your brave brothers and sisters ran towards danger, sacrificing themselves to save others in acts of unprecedented heroism and courage. In the aftermath of those attacks, I was so honored to meet and talk with many of your brothers and sisters and their families when I visited New York as Secretary of Labor. Meeting those heroes left a profound and lasting impression on all of us. So in 2003, to honor the sacrifices that firefighters and the police have made on September 11th, 2001, the Department of Labor inducted the first rank-and-file union members ever into the Department of Labor Hall of Fame, the Rescue Workers of September 11th. The headlines on that day have faded, but the memory of those sacrifices will never fade. They will never cease to inspire, and they will never be forgotten. How could they? Every single day, countless families have you to thank for rescuing a loved one, protecting their homes, or saving their lives. How many firefighters and EMS technicians have been mobilized this past year alone to battle the devastating wildfires in Appalachia and also in California? In 2016, more than 5.4 million acres were incinerated by more than 65,000 fires. And when an emergency happens, you answer the call, no matter the time or the day. And I understand that your California affiliate is here as well, and we want to recognize them for their wonderful work. In recognition of that fact, when I was Secretary of Labor, the team worked very closely with all of you and other first responders to ensure that your unique contributions were recognized and protected when the Department of Labor modernized the outdated overtime laws, as President Scheiberger had mentioned. You do not have 9-to-5 jobs, and the revised overtime rules recognize that fact. And you helped us to educate the public about that rule. Now, I've been on the job as Secretary of Transportation for about 29 days. During my confirmation hearing, I made it quite clear that safety will continue to be a top priority at the department. And that's why I chose to give one of my first speeches here at the IAFF, because your members are on the front lines of safety. Not only do you risk your lives every day, but your profession has set a clear example of the value of prevention as the highest form of safety. People are alive today because you championed improved building codes, fire prevention, first aid training, and emergency preparedness. Prevention and preparedness make a huge difference. The Department of Transportation, firefighters, the IAFF already have a history of working together on safety and preparedness issues. And I want to assure you that I look forward to that collaboration continuing. Here are just the few issues that we've collaborated on: shipboard firefighting response, placarding requirements on over-the-road trucks and rail cars, standards for airport firefighting, and safe transportation of hazardous biological, corrosive, and explosive materials. On these and other issues, the IAFF have worked with the department and other stakeholders to protect the public and raise awareness of safety hazards. An especially strong partnership has developed between the IAFF and PHMSA, the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. Since 1995, over 20 years ago, they have worked together to train pipeline inspectors and promote the safe shipment of hazardous or volatile materials. PHMSA grants have helped the IAFF to build a cadre of more than 300 hazmat safety instructors across the nation. All instructors are active retired firefighters who teach during their off-duty hours. The program covers 50 states and ensures that when a training program is needed, a qualified instructor is available. These instructors, in turn, have passed on their expertise to more than 10,000 trainers in more than 500 classes nationwide. In fact, the director of Director of Operations at the U.S. Department of Transportation, Todd Inman, is one of those trainers. But in this way, federal resources are leveraged to allow the nation's largest and most respected organization representing firefighters to provide hands-on training to first responders. And in 2016, the department has provided $20.4 million in hazardous emergency preparedness grants to states, territories, and Native American tribes that you've all heard about. These grants enhance their ability to respond to hazardous materials, transportation incidents. They're very important. In addition, PHMSA publishes an emergency response guidebook, which I know you all are very familiar with. It gives guidance for those critical first 30 minutes after a hazmat transportation incident. The department hopes to place one of these books in every public emergency vehicle nationwide, and to date, 14.5 million copies, free copies, have been distributed. Let me note that this guidebook is constantly being updated. So if any of you or your colleagues have suggestions, please contact the IAFF or PHMSA's Emergency Response Working Group. And their email is ergcommunications@dot.gov. There's so many other safety programs at DOT as well. NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, is best known for conducting car safety crash tests. But it also has an Office of Emergency Medical Services, which publishes guidelines for training EMS professionals. In addition, it also conducts public awareness campaigns against drunk driving and continues to research better methods to combat drunk driving. And more recently, it is tackling a very 21st century challenge, and that's distracted driving. In the last year, crashes and fatalities on our highways have increased 7%. When distracted drivers strike other vehicles, they hurt not only themselves, but other drivers and passengers and standbys as well. They sometimes even hit first responders rushing to the scene. That's one of the reasons that the Federal Highways Administration issued guidance recommending that emergency vehicles park in a diagonal fashion. But more importantly, the department has partnered with state authorities to remind the public that they must pull over and give emergency personnel a wide berth. We all have seen it too many times. drivers who refuse to pull over and just sit in the traffic when emergency vehicles, sirens blaring, are approaching. And that's why this month, Colorado and the Department of Transportation cooperated on a public education effort called Move Over, It's the Law. Looking to the future, there are exciting new technologies that have the potential to not only revolutionize transportation, but safety as well. I'm talking, of course, about automated vehicles and drones. As I mentioned, over 35,000 people died in traffic crashes in 2015, a 7% increase over the previous year. In the first 9 months of 2016, fatalities increased again by 8% over the previous year. And research shows that 94% of these accidents are due to human error. Automated technology has the potential to help eliminate human error and therefore reduce crashes and fatalities. So there's a lot at stake in getting this right. As a first step, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, issued a federal automated vehicles policy. This was done this past September. It's a set of rules. It's a set of guidelines, not a set of rules, and we will be consulting with you and other stakeholders as we update and amend it to ensure that it strikes the right balance. Drones are another very exciting emerging technology. Companies are already using drones for commercial purposes, but drones also have a very important role to play in safeguarding our infrastructure and assisting in disasters. Drones have been used to protect first responders in accidents involving derailments and hazardous materials. They can help track forest fires. Where people cannot go safely, drones can do a lot of good in surveying the scene and finding out what is actually happening on site. But while drones have a lot of potential to assist responders, they can also pose a problem if they're not carefully monitored. And so once again, we're going to ask you for your input as the FAA develops standards and regulations to ensure that drones can be safely integrated into our country's airspace and in emergency situations. The federal role in these emerging technologies, let me say that again, the federal role in these emerging technologies is still in its infancy. So we need your continued engagement and also discussion. Your experience and expertise are vital to help us craft policies and implement programs that strengthen safety and save lives. Let me close by sharing one final thought. Today, some people think that there are no more heroes in our country, and I couldn't disagree with them more. I look out at this audience, and all I see are heroes. A hero in every seat, in every row, and in every room that you are meeting. You are on the front lines every day, protecting, preparing, and providing life-saving services to everyone who needs you. Thank you for all that you do for our communities, for our country, every single day. Thank you. And I want to mention your families because they are part of the sacrifice that you have made and will make with your hours at work, with your unpredictable schedules. Your families are part of this community as well. And so I want you to go back home and tell your loved ones that the Secretary of Transportation appreciates so much their role in enabling you to do your job to help our communities and our country. God bless you, and God bless America.